This is not what we agreed upon!
Don't you dare talk to me like that!
Why are you doing this, Mom?
To everyone taking the time to dive into this, I want you to know your attention means the world, and I promise the journey you're about to walk with me will pull you in, shake you, and echo long after the final line. The night everything shifted in my world didn't begin with silence, it began with laughter. Her laughter, light and playful, filled our penthouse in a way that once made my chest tighten with affection. Yet that night, it struck me differently. It felt sharp, foreign, slicing through the fragile comfort I thought we still shared. She set her champagne glass on the counter with a smirk and tossed out words that cut deeper than she realized. That prenup of yours is ridiculous. Do you honestly believe I'd ever let a piece of paper control our marriage? I forced a chuckle, but it rang hollow in my throat. I had always admired her fire, the way she carried herself like the world bent to her every move. But now, that boldness gnawed at me instead of inspiring me. My mind flashed back to the clause she'd laughed off on our wedding day, the one she had brushed aside as absurd. The very clause that granted me total control over our finances if she knowingly shattered my trust. Days turned to weeks, yet her laughter never faded. It hung in the air of our home, haunting me in quiet corners and restless nights. I began noticing subtle things, the kind of details most would overlook but my heart couldn't ignore. Late-night texts she quickly closed when I walked in. A trace of perfume that wasn't mine clinging to her clothes. Whispers of names that didn't belong in our life. I kept telling myself I was imagining it, because denial was easier than facing a reality I wasn't ready to confront. Then came that rainy Thursday. I had left work early, planning to surprise her with a simple dinner I cooked myself. The apartment was unnervingly dark, blinds drawn as though the world outside had no place inside. As I stepped into the living room, something in me froze. Shadows moved across the walls. Her phone buzzed against the couch cushion, almost calling me to it. Against my better judgment, or maybe driven by dread, I glanced at the screen. The words I saw weren't vague, they were intimate, explicit, filled with promises and secret rendezvous. Betrayal doesn't whisper, it roars. My pulse thundered in my ears, disbelief warring with anger. I confronted her right then, my voice breaking under the weight of rage and heartbreak. "What is this?" I demanded. Her eyes widened, but not in guilt. Instead, I saw the same audacity that once drew me to her. "It's nothing, you're reading too much into it," she answered casually, like a child pretending the shattered vase on the floor had never broken. But denial couldn't erase what I had seen. That night, sleep abandoned me. I wandered the apartment, touching the photographs, the furniture, the relics of our years together, and every piece now felt poisoned. Love, I realized, wasn't enough armor against betrayal. The following days became a blur of determination. I documented everything, followed her patterns, collected truths I never wanted to know. The woman I thought I knew, the one I had entrusted my soul to, was living a life split in two. She had mocked the prenup, dismissed its weight, but she never once considered the clause she despised would come alive. I didn't confront her again. Instead, I acted quietly, strategically, invoking the clause with the precision of someone who had been left no choice. She wouldn't get the chance to twist reality or rewrite the narrative. The assets, the control, the leverage, all of it shifted into my hands, exactly as that document had promised. It wasn't just vengeance. It was recognition. Justice, no matter how cold, needed to be served. When the truth finally dawned on her, her fury blazed almost beautifully, though it was laced with venom. You're insane. You can't do this, she screamed. I sat across from her calmly, the man she once mocked now delivering judgment. I can. And I already did. These were your choices. She broke down, screaming, crying, bargaining, reaching for cracks in a wall that had no weak points. The claws stood unshaken, a silent guardian of every ignored warning, every line she had crossed. For the first time, I felt something unfamiliar. Not joy, not triumph, but clarity. I was no longer the victim she believed I'd always be. As she slammed the door behind her, the echo reverberating through the hollow apartment, I felt the full gravity of what had ended. Marriage is built on trust, and ours had crumbled beyond any repair. And yet, in honoring the clause, I had found a bitter kind of closure. I hadn't betrayed her in return, I had merely honored the terms we once vowed to accept. Weeks later, I wandered the apartment again. It was quiet, but every object still whispered with memories, memories painted over with deceit. Yet this time, I could breathe. The suffocating weight of doubt had lifted. The pain remained, but perspective settled in its place. Love hadn't failed me entirely. It had taught me vigilance, respect, and the unmovable boundary of forgiveness. I didn't celebrate her downfall, instead, I mourned the woman she once was, the warmth, the laughter, the life we thought we'd share. Standing by the window, watching the sun spread across the city skyline, a truth solidified within me. Betrayal, devastating as it is, also uncovers strength and offers clarity, an unshakable sense of who you are. Even now, on quiet nights when the wind brushes past my window, I think of her. I picture the path she chose, the fleeting thrill she traded everything for. I wonder if she ever felt the true weight of her decision. But I know this now, my choices, my peace, my life are mine to protect. And sometimes, letting the law preserve what love could not is the purest form of justice. Painfully, I learned that love without trust isn't love at all. And equally, I learned that boundaries, even those mocked, exist for a reason. Enforcing them can be the only way to reclaim yourself from the shadow betrayal casts.